In 2019, WeWork was one of the most valuable startups in America. At its peak, the company was worth $47 billion. Not an artificial intelligence company. Not a biotech company. Not a revolutionary technology company. Just office space. Desks. Chairs. Wi-Fi. And free beer. Yet investors poured billions into it. Then, just a few years later, the company filed for bankruptcy. So today we are answering 5 questions. How did a money-losing company reach a $47 billion valuation? Who kept giving it money? Where did all that money go? Could the company have survived? And finally, how did the man at the center of the collapse walk away with nearly $2 billion while employees lost almost everything? Keep that last question in mind. Because the answer is almost unbelievable. This is the story of WeWork. The story begins with Adam Neumann. Born in Israel in 1979, Neumann's childhood was marked by instability. His parents divorced when he was young, and his family moved frequently. Part of his childhood was spent on a kibbutz, a community built around shared living and collective work. Years later, that idea of community would become the foundation of his biggest business pitch. After moving to New York, Neumann tried multiple ventures. Most failed. He sold baby clothes with knee pads. He attended college but left before graduating. But he possessed one extraordinary talent. He could convince people to believe in a vision. Investors. Employees. Journalists. Almost anyone. He didn't just walk into a room, he commanded it. His energy was magnetic. His promises were enormous. And that ability would eventually attract billions of dollars. In 2008, the financial crisis hit the United States hard. Businesses closed. Office buildings sat half empty. Commercial rents fell dramatically. At the same time, a new workforce was emerging. Freelancers. Entrepreneurs. Small startups. They needed office space but couldn't commit to expensive long-term leases. Neumann saw the opportunity clearly. Rent large office spaces at low prices. Redesign them beautifully. Then rent smaller sections to individuals and companies on flexible terms. The idea wasn't completely new. Co-working spaces already existed. But Neumann wasn't just selling office space. He was selling a dream. A community. A movement. A new way of working. He told investors WeWork was not a real estate company. It was a technology platform. A global ecosystem. A consciousness-elevating force. And people loved it. At the time, investors feared missing the next Amazon, Google, or Facebook. That fear made them willing to believe extraordinary stories. The valuation reflected the story, not the economics. Walking into a WeWork felt genuinely different. Modern interiors. Glass walls. Designer furniture. Coffee bars. Beer taps. Networking events. A buzzing energy unlike any traditional office. It felt exciting. It felt like the future. Startups loved the atmosphere. Freelancers loved the flexibility. Even major corporations became customers. Growth accelerated rapidly. Investors became obsessed. By 2015, WeWork was valued at roughly $10 billion. Then came the meeting that changed everything. Masayoshi Son, the powerful CEO of SoftBank, visited WeWork. The meeting reportedly lasted only 12 minutes. But that was enough. Son became convinced that Adam Neumann was building something enormous, something that would reshape the world. SoftBank invested billions of dollars. And then encouraged WeWork to grow even faster. More cities. More countries. More buildings. Faster. Bigger. At any cost. That decision would change the future of the company, and not for the better. With billions of dollars available, WeWork entered full expansion mode. New cities. New countries. New buildings every single week. Then the company started branching into entirely different businesses. Apartments under the brand We Live. Schools under the brand We Grow. Community projects. Wellness initiatives. Growth became the only goal. Profitability became completely secondary. Expense accounts were unlimited. Office designs became increasingly extravagant. Private jets were used freely. By early 2019, WeWork had reached a valuation of $47 billion. And yet, for every dollar the company earned, it was spending nearly $2. The losses were staggering. The cash was disappearing fast. But as long as the story was compelling enough, investors kept believing. Until they couldn't anymore. In 2019, WeWork prepared for an IPO, an initial public offering which would allow ordinary investors to buy shares in the company. For the first time, the company's full financial reality would be visible to the world. What investors found shocked Wall Street. The company had lost nearly $1.9 billion in a single year. For every dollar earned, enormous amounts were being spent. Long-term lease obligations stretched into the tens of billions. There was no clear path to profitability. Not even close. Then more troubling details emerged. Adam Neumann had trademarked the word "we-ance." Private jets. Luxury homes. Extravagant personal spending. The IPO filing exposed everything. Investor confidence collapsed almost overnight. The valuation fell with terrifying speed. 47 billion. Then 20 billion. Then 15. Then 10. The IPO was cancelled entirely. The illusion carefully constructed over nearly a decade was finally breaking apart. Without IPO funding, WeWork faced a severe and immediate crisis. The company was burning through cash at an alarming rate. Payroll. Rent obligations. Expansion costs. SoftBank stepped in with an emergency rescue package worth billions. But there was one firm condition. Adam Neumann had to leave. On September 24, 2019, he resigned as CEO. Mass layoffs followed almost immediately. Thousands of employees lost their jobs. Many had relocated cities, turned down other offers, and built their careers around WeWork's promise. Assets were sold. Projects were cancelled. Locations were closed. The company that once promised to elevate the world's consciousness was now fighting simply for survival. And the question everyone was asking was the same. Where did all the money go? The answer is painful. Failed expansion projects. Expensive renovations. Designer office spaces that made no financial sense. Costly acquisitions. Unprofitable locations kept open far too long. And in many cases, spending tied directly to leadership decisions that were never seriously challenged. The money disappeared long before the company officially collapsed. Surprisingly, yes. The core business was never the problem. People genuinely wanted flexible office space. That demand was real. And it still exists today. Many coworking businesses around the world operate successfully and profitably. WeWork's downfall was not caused by a bad idea. It was caused by poor governance, reckless expansion, and a complete absence of financial discipline. The business model could work. The leadership model could not. A version of WeWork smaller, more focused, properly managed could have been a sustainable and profitable company. Instead, the obsession with growth at any cost destroyed everything that was genuinely valuable about the business. Now we return to the final question. How did Adam Neumann walk away with nearly $2 billion? After his resignation, SoftBank agreed to a package that included consulting payments and large-scale share purchases. Combined with previous stock sales and other arrangements made before the collapse, Newman left with an enormous personal fortune. Meanwhile, employees suffered greatly. Many had accepted stock options instead of higher salaries, believing the company would become immensely valuable one day. When the company's fortunes collapsed, those shares became virtually worthless. Thousands lost their jobs. Investors lost billions. But the founder remained extraordinarily wealthy. Part of the answer lies in how startup systems are structured. Founders can sometimes sell portions of their holdings long before a company goes public. By the time the crisis arrived, much of Newman's personal wealth had already been secured. And that leads us to the real lesson of WeWork. The lesson is not that ambition is dangerous. Ambition builds great companies. The lesson is that growth without accountability can be incredibly destructive. When investors stop asking hard questions. When boards stop providing real oversight. When charisma replaces financial discipline. Risk multiplies. And eventually, reality arrives. But because leadership, governance, and financial reality were ignored for far too long. In the end, the story of WeWork is not about office space. It is about what happens when everyone believes the dream and nobody checks the numbers.